Welcome to the Conservation Board meeting of March 11th, 2026. I would invite everyone to rise for the salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
What is your pleasure on the minutes of February 25th, 2026?
Move to accept as presented or amended.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Public hearings.
Can I ask a question? In the previous minutes, there was the
We're here to,
trustee letter
Which ones
to
were we at?
Sunset Equity Holdings that we asked to be amended.
That was.
Did that get sent to the trustees?
Yes,
Did I vote? I didn't vote.
We didn't abstain.
I don't know if it was shared with the board. Could I see
We have
it?
to abstain.
Share with the board.
Okay.
The board did not
I'm writing it down, so.
that the amended letter be shared with the board, but the amended letter was consistent with the comments that were made by board members.
Okay, so,
I can email you that
That'd be great.
letter
That-
tomorrow.
thank you.
And you're welcome.
And I think we
you
want
have to,
to mark for the
You have to
record.
redo that.
I voted on it.
Yes.
Consistent.
I understand. I just wanted to,
That's why it didn't go back to the board. If you tabled it to the next
it
meeting.
would come back.
It would come back to the board.
You
Harry?
have to redo
Yeah,
this
you have to
because they
redo
didn't
the minutes. You
abstain.
didn't give us a chance to abstain, we weren't here, Leslie and I.
Same. And sunshine.
And Sunshine.
We have 3 abstentions on the minutes.
4 votes.
What? Yes, we have 4 votes, we have 3 abstentions.
So I'm sorry, I didn't get the vote, the abstention.
Tom moved, George seconded, Sunshine, Ann, and Leslie abstained, and the other 4 members all voted in favor.
Sunshine Hannah and Leslie
Abstained.
Saying we weren't here.
Good catch, Ann.
Public hearings. A 025041, Bruce Nierenberg.
Stamping new stuff in, is that for this hearing or another one?
he has, he's gonna share
Okay, I don't want to hand out wrong stuff.
with
You
the
just-
board.
Just came.
No, this is, I mean, I just opened this
All
now.
right, then hold on, let them,
You want to share?
March 6th would certify.
I think we're.
So I have to wait till he's,
I don't know what I'm doing here tonight. I'm in my OCD cycle.
Machine collates, you already did.
7:51.
I'm putting it here because I think it's easier to see than.
Tom, you have 2 copies?
I have to.
Okay.
Thank you.
Did you want to share that second document?
Yeah, this is, these are just for the file of each one of these, you know, for, just for the ones that new hearings for tonight. Whatever those addresses.
So they should, should be copies in the file.
Yeah, yeah. So it's really just for this one.
We've seen this.
What's the other one?
23 Bittersweet Lane.
Bittersweet. Those, I just figured 2 hard copies for those files because of the new hearing. I didn't know if they were in those files or not. Okay. It's the same report.
It's same report? Oh, okay. All right, then I don't need to, you don't need to share.
I just figured if you needed to take a copy for the file.
Okay, so we're on 23 Bittersweet. It should be in there. This is Luke's note. All right, thank you. Actually, I have additional comments. Do you have a couple?
So this one, oh,
That's in this thing.
yeah, this is one that we got that I kept from the previous meeting.
And this is the one that they,
Share this.
Okay.
I think we received this by email maybe, but maybe not the
Yeah, I
survey.
think so. And this we have.
Oh, I
on the
didn't see
February
this
11th.
one. Okay. Just no list.
A lot of it overlaps.
This guy only wants to raise it 5 inches.
This is the one.
But I guess he wants to
You
put,
can
in-
begin when you're ready.
Okay.
he wants to put a groin in.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Aram Tertunian, First Coastal, West Hampton Beach, New York, on behalf of the applicants. You did just announce the hearing for, I can't remember the address, but DB...
67.
67 DB Ventures. Is that the right one? But there are 5 different applications, 4 of which are on for this evening. And I wonder if we can open all 4 of those for this evening now, because they're all the same subject.
You have to open them separately.
Okay.
Aaron, before you start, when we visited that particular, which one was that? Was that 67?
We entered at 65 and walked to 67.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, yeah. Oh, No, no, no.
Oh,
No,
because
we
we
entered,
stayed on the same property.
no, we walked.
Yeah, well, you went to the edges, but I'm.
Yeah, that actually, yeah. That was 67.
Okay.
And then 65 is,
You entered 67.
right, yeah. And then,
George,
Oh, there you go.
right.
Perfect.
So we came in, I think here or here?
Yeah,
Here,
this is where we were.
right, because I remember you had,
Dates
we had
that
this
you
indentation
toured,
here with the
subject
bulkhead.
properties with board members, and just
You
Yeah.
went all the way
Yeah,
down
I walked,
here?
yeah, I walked down there.
topics that were discussed.
You were
at
talking up
those,
here. I walked down there.
Oh, wait a minute, this is where we came in, because I remember this groin here. Right there. Was 65.
it was 65.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be where warranted. I have no idea what sites were visited by board members, nor do I know which sites they had met with you to discuss the project. So
Sure.
I'm not privy to any of those discussions. So if you could provide a summation of the field assessment for the hearing record and for the public, that would be beneficial.
I'd be happy to do that. All right, I just got to remember the dates. I remember what was said, I just don't remember all the dates. So
Before we start, I'm thinking of repeating all of this 4 times, and I'm thinking there might be a better way.
well, what I propose is that we just incorporate by
we have-
reference
if we
one
have-
record to the other.
Okay, if we open this, can we then open another one and say, add this testimony to that?
We've
You
done
could
that
do that.
before,
We
yeah.
just want to make sure that we have, distinct hearings for each property. I mean, you mean open one and then keep the second one, keep it open and then open the second one?
No, just sometimes someone requests that the testimony of one application be added to the testimony of this application.
That would be fine. Yeah, that would be fine. And everything, but most of this presumably is in the written submissions that will be in the record for each property.
Does that make
But
it
you could do
difficult
that
for
so
you
you don't
to-
have to,
I'm sorry.
that'd be fine. Then you don't have to repeat everything over again.
Does that make it
Well,
difficult for you to?
what's beneficial is that the applicant's report addresses all of the pending applications before this board. What is unknown to me is what was discussed during the site meetings and which properties were visited by board members. So Aram's going to provide a summation of that for the record.
Okay, I think we have a plan now.
I think his summation can probably be brief for these hearings.
Okay. All right, well, with that preamble, I met on the site on Saturday, February 28th, with Chairman Ludlow, and I met on the site with members McIntyre, Hine, and Hickey on Tuesday, March 3rd.
That's my maiden name, but I still use it, Hickey Algieri.
Oh, Hickey Algieri, well, I saw it, that's what stuck.
And just for the record, that was at at 67 Clearview Drive?
We entered at 65 Clearview, which gave access to 65 and 67.
Okay. And then you'll speak to whether or not there was separate site meetings at the other properties that we have hearings on?
No, but those properties were visible from both locations.
Okay. All right, thank you.
From the central location. As far as a summation of what was discussed, I really, let the members review the site and ask any questions they had. I pointed out where there was overtopping from storm surge and wave action, as evidenced by the lack of snow and also by depressed earth or eroded earth behind the bulkheads. Members went on their own to inspect various parts of it. I pointed out that in the near shore, between the bulkhead extending about 30 feet of water, which was very, very clear, you could see all the way to the bottom, 30 feet. About 30 feet offshore into about 3 feet of water. You could see that the composition of the material was all very much the same. It was a rocky shoreline with very little sand, so that from the bulkhead seaward to deeper water, there was no change in the substrate, and therefore it's unlikely that there would be a change in the creatures, the benthic creatures, the bottom-dwelling creatures like worms and crustaceans that inhabit those areas. And the purpose of that was to address the point that Marty made in a previous hearing, that perhaps wave reflection could cause deeper water closer to the shoreline and therefore change the character of the wetland.
I have a question, maybe, while you're on that area, maybe you could clear it up. I wasn't convinced when I saw what I saw, where there was, you say erosion, I want to say displacement, because it looked like it was eroding from the bottom, from the sites that I saw. It was like a hole, and it was not even. There was not an even erosion where if there was, splash, I would expect to see like an even row, or at least 5 or 6 feet. And
Well-
I didn't see that. What I saw were 2 areas that were depressed. And I'm thinking if that wasn't some type of sand leaking from the bottom of the bulkheads, rather than from splash.
Well, I think both things are occurring. The evidence for the overtopping is the line of snow at a minimum, because clearly the water came over and melted the snow. There were sections where you could see that there was drawdown from below, and likely due to the cause that you described, leaking from the bottom. But you could also see a uniform, it was about a 2 or 3 inch drop, especially in front of 65, that ran along the entire, almost along the entire front of that property. There were areas that were deeper, where the process you described was taking over, if you will, but clearly the overtopping was occurring.
Thank you.
We also had a discussion about the rates of sea level rise based upon the New York State adopted regulations in Part 490 versus historical sea level rise as identified by the tide gauge in Montauk.
How far back do those records go, Aaron?
Montauk goes back to 55. The battery goes back over 100 years. I didn't use the battery because the geologic conditions there are a little bit different. It's, but the rates are very similar.
So just for the record, you only met with 3 board members at the sites?
4 altogether.
Well, yeah, one on Saturday and 3 on Tuesday.
Okay. And the third person on Tuesday was?
Ms. Hickey Algieri.
You have Ms. Algia, Ms. Schultz, and
Mark?
and George?
Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Not Ms. Schultz.
Not Ms. Schultz. And I.
It was,
I was there.
Oh, you were
Yeah,
present,
Leslie was
too.
not, Leslie was
Yeah,
in
I
South
was-
Yeah, he
America.
was there.
Oh, okay.
I was there,
was
George was
definitely
there, and Ann was there.
Okay.
That's it.
The
He
only
made
other
his
thing.
presence known, Marty.
Okay.
The only other thing I remember is that, that Member Hine and I both knew Bobby Van. That was the other thing. But if I've missed a discussion that we had at the site, I would invite one of the members to refresh my recollection.
And I got a kick out of the canoe place in, too.
Okay? So I'm going to, in this application, just address the overall 5 properties and, incorporate by reference all the materials that we submitted on those previous applications, and discuss a little bit the letter that we sent on Friday, which you have hard copies of in front of you. The object here is to urge the board to adopt a standards-based metric that they can apply to many properties, as opposed to being trapped into a property by property. Let me rephrase that.
Yes.
A standards-based application, a metric that can be applied to individual properties such that all properties get treated in a similar manner, as opposed to an ad hoc application of a varying standard. So, and the standard that we are recommending is the 10-year storm surge with a 10-year wave and the 18 inches of projected sea level rise, as opposed to the standard that appears to be implemented presently, which is you get to go as high as your neighbor. So I apologize. I thought I had instructed my staff to print small copies of the big thing in front of you,
Oh.
but,
And brought hers, so that's good.
oh. But what I did on this, and if it's okay,
So there
I'll,
were materials that were shared at the site meetings?
no, this was all, nothing was shared at the site meetings.
You don't expect us to adopt a standard out of all of these hearings, do you?
That's up to you, if you adopt a
Okay,
standard.
good. I'm glad you-
I'm proposing.
I'm glad you're giving us that. And we always, I mean, it's, historically, we try to treat each application separately. So it's hard to move in that direction.
Well, no, I would say you treat them all individually, but you apply standards to each one of them. They're written into the code. So those, you take the standards, you examine the specifics of the site, you apply the standards to the site conditions to the standards, and you make a decision. And that's what this board does on virtually every application in front of it, I would say. And all I'm offering to you is a standard, which I think that you can adopt either officially or unofficially. And that makes, and I'm going to explain to you how adopting this standard and applying it to different site conditions results in, I think, a good outcome for everyone. So,
So in the interest of providing for greater clarity, you're going to reiterate now what that standard is that you think should be applied in the case of current and future applications.
that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
So the standard that I recommend is the 10-year storm surge of 4 feet with the 10-year wave height, which I think you have that, Member McIntyre has open right to that page. And the 18 inches of sea level rise as adopted by New York State. And I've illustrated that in the large document that was submitted to the board at the last hearing. And there are 2 copies of it floating around right now. It's not in the small letter that I gave you today. But Member McIntyre, if I could.
Sure.
So this is, I think you might recall
got this
this
last time.
particular diagram. And this is the standard that we're recommending. So,
And that was submitted at the last one.
that's correct.
Yeah.
And there's 2 copies that were submitted this evening as well. If we look at 3 other applications that have come in front of the board. One was 28 Bittersweet Lane. And the 28 Bittersweet Lane, the permit was issued in 2024, and that bulkhead was, and that is, within 100 or 200 feet of our site. That bulkhead, which was higher when it was built,
28, can't be 28. 28's on the other side of the street.
it's on the other side of the street. It's not one of our projects. This is a project that the board issued a permit on in 2024.
Regarding a bulkhead?
Yeah. And in that particular.
So just in the interest of greater clarity, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But you're recommending that the same standard be applied whether or not property benefits from groins or not? Because you have dissimilar property.
Well, we've dropped the groins from this from the 3 applications that had groins, or 2 applications that had groins. So we're really looking at, the same project.
Okay, so the standard that you're recommending makes no exception for properties that have groins?
That's
It's
correct.
still the same standard?
Yes.
Thank you.
So in that particular situation, the property started higher. If you look at this photo on the second page of the letter that was just given to you, you can see 28 Bittersweet in the background versus 29 Bittersweet.
Oh, I see.
No, 20, it should be 23.
My mistake, Aaron.
Yeah.
My mistake, I apologize.
No, that's quite all right. And you can see the lower bulkhead in the foreground was overtopped, whereas the higher bulkhead at 8.1 feet in the background was not overtopped. And my point here is, they got that benefit merely because they were higher to begin with. So they have an advantage because they started higher. So I don't see the equity in that. And I certainly don't see the standard in that, because that means whoever started higher gets to stay higher forever, regardless of what site conditions are. If we look at 23 Clearview,
I'm sorry, the property that you're saying at present has a higher bulkhead
Yeah.
elevation is which property?
it'd be 28 Bittersweet.
Okay, thank you.
So I've plotted all of these properties I'm talking about on the large aerial photo in front of you, and although I've anchored it so it doesn't roll, I'm going to hand it to you so you can all look at it. And I apologize, I didn't give everybody a small version, because I think it's important to see where these properties are located in proximity to our project. So the next one I want to talk about is 23 Clearview. which is 3 properties to the south of 51 Clearview, which is one of the projects within our project area, one of the properties within our project area.
28.
Now, originally, when we submitted that application, we actually asked to raise it 18 inches. In Marty's preliminary report, he recommended not raising it 18 inches. So we looked at the site conditions, and guess what? That bulkhead's already at 10.5 feet. So you know what we said? We don't need to raise it 18 inches because we already meet the standard. And so we withdrew that request, and that permit's going to be issued as an administrative permit. But they get that advantage because they were hired to begin with.
So which property is that?
At 23 Clearview.
23 Clearview.
This is the one down, it's the one down here with the bulkhead of
It's in the
10.3.
letter that I sent on
So
Friday.
they've withdrawn the request that
Because they
that
found out
bulkhead
that
be
they didn't
raised.
need
They
it.
already didn't need it.
They didn't need it, it was
Trying to
already
keep
raised.
track of which property is
Understood.
talking.
Yeah, good luck. That's why I printed the map.
Anybody else?
The third property I want to discuss is 25 Peconic Avenue. The good news is each one of these had different street names, so that is helpful at all. So on 25 Peconic Avenue, the application was submitted to raise the bulkhead 18 inches. Marty's recommendation in his preliminary advisory report was to raise it approximately 6 to 8 inches to match the neighbor's bulkhead. Now, in that particular case, the applicant agreed to that condition, and therefore, that bulkhead got raised. But again, that's an arbitrary standard. Whatever my neighbor has, that's what I go to, regardless of what the site conditions are. So the other part of that, and
I'm sorry, that's 25 Peconic because that's not one of the listed properties.
No.
here.
no,
It's just
Precedence.
another property. with a-
I corrected you.
So this is Northampton.
25 Peconic is an example, not one of the
Okay,
subjects.
separate from
But just to be clear, when was that before the board?
I believe that's going to be issued administratively because the
That's
applicant-
pending now,
Yeah.
but it hasn't been issued yet.
I don't know if it was or it wasn't.
I think it may have been received conditional approval. It's not on the agenda tonight for
No.
action.
No, but I bring that up as an example because in that particular case, staff recommended raise it to match the neighbor. So what's interesting about that is that if I'm neighbor over here and I'm at 10.5, and the guy, gal, person right next door to me wants to raise their bulkhead from 7, they can go to 10.5. But if I'm one property away from that and I'm at 7, I can't go to 10.5, I got to stay at 7.
What makes you think the property next to it can go to 10.5 right away?
Because he just cited a
Because
precedent.
the precedent is you get to go as high as your neighbor.
But logically, that you gave us one example of that, right? So that doesn't mean that that's a rule that
Well,
we.
it's, none of this is a rule, but that seems to be the procedure.
I mean, it seems like a lot to me, it seems to be a lot to derive from this one example but we're just doing what the next door neighbor, we're allowing people to do what the next door neighbor is. We don't have the facts of that particular site before us. I think, to me, the argument that you want to make about why we should adopt a standard seems like something worth talking about, but saying we have a rule that none of us know about, I don't think makes.
Well, I don't propose it as a rule, I propose it as an example.
But I think also Marty had reasons for bringing that bulkhead up, because you were afraid that one bulkhead, if it's higher than the other one, it is affecting that one and causing erosion. So I believe your reason there was, that was your reason. Now, if you go a few down, maybe he feels that isn't happening. So I don't think it was arbitrary on his part.
Okay.
I'm not,
All right, I would say that we can take this half-mile stretch of bulkheads, and they're all experiencing the same thing.
Well, they're all together, so that's
Yeah.
a little bit different than
Well,
just picking one out.
These
some other
5 are all
place.
together, but
Yeah,
if
that's
you
what I'm
look at a
talking about.
half mile of shoreline, it's all, that half mile of shoreline's getting the same storm surge, it's getting the same wave energy, and it's getting the same sea level rise.
I mean, I don't think anybody's objecting to you talking about it holistically. I think the point is you've kind of leveled a declaration of what our policy is.
I'll take it back.
Thank you.
I merely bring it up as an example.
I just wanted to say that's a darn good point that she raises, so.
You make the rules, I don't make the rules.
Are you
but
sure tonight we're not changing roles here tonight?
I'm just making suggestions and backing them up with what I think are good reasons.
Yeah, I think talking about affirmatively what you think we should do is better than characterizing what you think we have done.
Okay. So I think that, my summation is very simple. You have a particular stretch of shoreline that is experiencing the same physical forces, yet there are varying heights of bulkheads along here that pre-exist. They were built at an elevation decided on by nobody in this room knows who. The contractor, the owner, the designer, we don't know. But they're all at varying levels. And what I've seen this board do in the past is try to find the common thread that, and apply, if a site has the same characteristics, then you would apply the standards to that site in the same manner. So it seems reasonable to me that in order to level the playing field here, that the standard that we're suggesting is the most equitable. You have wave impact, surge impact, sea level rise. You apply that to a property at 7 feet, and it should go to 8.5. It's really that simple.
So that is the standard that you would suggest that we adopt. Take a 10-year storm, take an 18-inch sea level rise over the next 30 years. I'm not promoting the accuracy of those statistics, but rather that's a concrete methodology to determine what the height of the bulkhead could be. And that would be a uniform application across a particular area, body of water of sorts. I likewise, I like the way you think. I've been looking for this whole process as we've been going through a lot of these applications that seem to be yours at this time of the year, or this time of our tenure here. And it's unusual to get so many so similar all at once. Nevertheless, I have groped to figure out what is there that we can grab a hold of here that is real, that makes some sense. And there are a lot of things we can do. That is one set of circumstances that could be applied and we could utilize. We generally have more complex issues than something as simple as that, unfortunately. Because sometimes there are other dynamics. Sometimes something's recessed, the bulkhead is recessed. Sometimes there's downhill ways, downstream ways, there's some wetland plants. Maybe there's something else behind the bulkhead. Maybe there's something with no bulkhead, and now we got a bulkhead right next to it. So I would like to see something like that applied. I'm not sure that's exactly it. I need to hear from Marty, and he's got more research to do. That might lead us to the top elevation that we would entertain. But it might be reduced for a number of reasons that are site-specific, that warrant that because of impacts, environmental impacts that we suspect may very well occur. But I think that's a starting place.
Okay, I appreciate that, and we're certainly, willing to, go through the details here. My objective in selecting the standard that I'm promoting is that this is not something that I created. These are the standards that FEMA has developed for the 10-year storm and the 10-year wave, and the standards that the state has developed for sea level rise. I may agree or disagree. You may agree or disagree with those standards, but the fact of the matter, those are government standards that have gone through peer review research and have been adopted. And so I think those provide really strong guideposts, and to deviate from them, you would need to have, in my opinion, something, stark and apparent as opposed to suspected.
On the 100-year record, do you have a figure of how much there was in that 100 years, a total?
It's about a foot per century.
Well, this century at least.
Yeah, well, no, from, on the battery report record, which I'd be happy to share with the board, the rate is 1 foot per 100 years
1 foot,
of sea level rise over 100 years of time.
so you're talking 6 inches in 50 years?
That's the historical record.
And that's fact, that's not,
Fact.
okay. Thank you.
Unlike most bulkheads in this town, this is an area that the trustees do not regulate, and that's why it falls into our camp. Whatever standard, if we do adopt a standard, I also believe that standard should meet the test that the trustees used to determine bulkhead rise in other areas of the town that we do not regulate. Or at least we should attempt to. That may be too idealistic, but we should attempt to be consistent in in applying a standard. Because in other places, there may not be the same wave energy in the wave action. It may not require the same height of a bulkhead.
Well, again, that's, if you use the 10-year storm surge and wave height, that varies by location, and that information is readily available. They have transects all through the town of Southampton, from the Atlantic Ocean beaches to Peconic to Shinnecock and Mauritius and everything in between, where they've already done these calculations. So that's the, I would say, the simplicity of the standard is that work's already done. You're just applying it.
I can ask, why did you pick this particular standard as the one you recommend?
I picked it because I think it's the most realistic. And I think it's the most realistic because if we go to a 25-year storm, we're raising this bulkhead 3 or 4 feet. And I just don't think that this board or any other board has an appetite for that. So what I am suggesting is really the absolute minimum that should be considered on these sites. I think if you were a property owner, and let's just pretend for a moment that we all are, each one of these repairs where they come in and backfill and patch and do this is costing them between $15,000 and $25,000. And some of the big stuff that we saw this past week, and that I've given you many photos of, that's going to cost more. Well, we have a time issue here, among other things, which is how many times are you going to spend $15,000 or $25,000, before you solve the problem by raising the bulkhead? So the time issue here is also, I'd like to just bring that forward. Tonight we're looking at 4 of the 5 applications. The 5th application has been adjourned until May. Well, that bulkhead might fail between now and then. That was one of the ones that we look. That was, I can't remember. It's the only one that's not on for this evening.
65.
65. So you know, and I appreciate that the board needs to deliberate, and I appreciate that Marty needs to do his research and present it to the board, and that should happen. But I'm going to urge you, as much as I possibly can, to please to compress that time frame, because I've been here now for 3 different hearings, 3 different dates. I've presented very much the same information each time with some nuances and just bringing out examples. I would urge the board to bring that other application forward to as soon as your agenda allows. Give Marty adequate time, but understand the plight of these property owners. They've been at this for a year or more to get the various permits, and they have all the permits except for the permit from this board. So, you know, if you were in that position, you would be a little frustrated. I'm just bringing that forward for your information.
Legitimate.
Just for the record, that one that might fail is actually the worst one of the lot. I don't think it will, but that's my prediction. I don't take that to the bank. And of course, I'm not at risk, so it's easy for me to say.
And which address is that?
65.
65,
65.
Yeah.
because we were standing on that property as we were looking at that bulkhead, because that was an important one to look at, because there was more sand going behind that bulkhead than the others.
Yes.
And we determined, I'm not sure that would be determined, at least my thinking was, when I looked at that, I don't know if I said it or not to you, but my thinking was that because of that corner that jutted out is so much lower than the rest, it just seems reasonable, and looking underneath, it looked like there was some seepage from underneath. So that was not the impact, that's not because the bulkhead was too short. It's because the bulkhead had failed down low that allowed sand to escape, and then it came down. It did look like there was some overtopping where the whole area behind that bulkhead, the whole span of the bulkhead, the first few feet behind it, had lowered in elevation perhaps, I don't know, maybe a foot. I didn't measure it, but just, it was clearly a drop in that elevation compared to the next property over, which would have been 67. Nevertheless, we do need to get to this right away, but we also need to make a good decision, and that's the risk we're taking of delaying this till May. We'd actually like to do all of these and close the hearings in May at the next one. By that time, Marty will have his report that we are eager to hear, and we'll be able to make a decision, issue a resolution in the next meeting, or possibly even that meeting if it's necessary to be faster to do that.
Yeah, well, listen, the board sets the schedule. I'm just going to repeat that I don't think that property has till May. I think you described the situation very well. There are 3 factors coinciding on that point. Number one, it's a corner, and nature abhors right angles, and it's trying to smooth it out because that's where the waves are focusing. Number 2, the bulkhead is old and it is seeping. But number 3, the water's coming over the top, driving that sand through the deterioration. So all 3 things are occurring right there. And I'm concerned, you know, that if that does fail catastrophically, we've got a great big mess. And I'd like to avoid that. So if there is a way that Marty's research and the board's calendar can accommodate something sooner than May, I would strongly recommend that.
Maureen?
Just be good. Marty Chief, environmental analyst for the town. I'll be brief. What I'm looking to do is to provide a report to the town responding to all of these applications. That application, that report can be readied and completed by that May 13, 2026 hearing date that we set for DB Ventures. My hope is that that will be the final hearing. And it is my goal to forward a response report to the applicant with leaving sufficient time for the applicant to address any issues that are raised by that report at that May 13 hearing. I have not even had the opportunity to read the submittal that was shared with the board tonight. So I need to look at that. I wanted to just make one comment that if there is interest on part of the board in rendering a decision to set a uniform standard for bulkhead heightening, what we need to consider is whether or not that standard needs to speak to certain exceptions where there may yet be a need for this board to factor in other circumstances before they render the same decision. As was alluded to the applicant, the environment that we're looking at here is essentially a high wave energy environment. So notwithstanding what the trustees' policies may be for bulkhead heightening, those are intended primarily to address bulkheads in many situations that are not high wave energy environments. So if you're replacing a bulkhead in a cove in a more sheltered area, you would not be looking to apply the same policy and same standard that you would apply for bulkhead reconstruction at along the Little Peconic Bay. So I had initially hoped to get a draft response to you for tonight, but I've had very little staff in the past 2 weeks, so unfortunately I was not able to complete that and get that done. But I think notwithstanding any questions that might be raised by my report, it appears that the applicant is making a final presentation tonight. Notwithstanding that, we've had many varying discussions about these issues. I'm now better positioned to provide a final response to the request for heightening by 18 inches that is before you. Thank you. So again, and I shared with one of the landowners at the prior meeting, and I, of course, understand and appreciate that any repairs to a bulkhead can be costly, but with regards to the worsening conditions at one or more sites, I would be in favor, if it becomes necessary, for the applicant to make any temporary repairs that are needed while they're awaiting final decision and permit from this board. And that could include backfill with sand, with rock, that could include shoring up portions of the bulkhead that are deteriorated. So, I'm happy in the interim to work with landowners if they need to take certain interim measures while they're awaiting decision by this board.
So Marty, what you're saying then, if I can paraphrase, if somebody along here does have a crisis, they could get an emergency administrative permit real quickly to deal with that crisis?
Absolutely.
Okay. That helps you
And
see
it would be
better.
helpful if the applicant, I think I understood what the applicant was saying, but it would be happy if the applicant could identify those properties where they think there is an emergency at present. And not that you use those words, but it would be helpful to me. Number one, if you could speak to whether or not you think there is an emergency at 65 Clearview and at other properties at present. Thank you.
And just to clarify what I was trying to say that you took up on, my one hesitation about establishing a standard policy, and once again, I don't think we should have a standard policy. I think we should have a standard that we look at that becomes what we look at first, but then we look at site-specific. I think it's very important and responsible for us to keep the avenue open to make an adjustment on any standard that we set based on the particular circumstances at a particular site that may not be the same as what we're looking at right now. I don't know if that is the case, but we don't know what's the case is going to be in 5 years or 10 years either. I don't want to see us get back into a corner where we say we got to do this when in fact any reasonable person would say that's crazy.
Yeah, and I'm not recommending that the board formally adopt a uniform standard across the board for future applications by resolution. We should be able to get to a place where when we have similar conditions, a certain standard can be applied. And there should be a consensus of where we may need to entertain exceptions to that standard because of the unique circumstances of that property.
When you were talking about your standard, were you talking about the height of the sea level rise, or were you talking about a specific height of a bulkhead?
Aram Tertunian, First Coastal, on behalf of the applicant. The standard that I recommend is a bulkhead height that is dependent upon the storm surge plus the wave height plus the sea level rise. So that the standard would then, and I fully understand and agree with the chairman and Marty's point that you want to have a standard that you apply, but you also want to have exceptions to the standard, just like, the exceptions to the English language, I think, which are.
If I understood you correctly, the sea level is rising the same all over out here,
Yep,
if I understood you.
that's correct.
So why are you throwing in more standards, like the size of a boat, the height of a bulkhead, rather than using the standard of what the sea level is rising per year or per 10 years?
Well, I think when we look at a site, we say, what's our design level of protection? What are we trying to protect against? Are we trying to protect against the 100-year flood, which is what you do when you build houses? Or are you attempting to protect against a superstorm Sandy? Or are you intending to design something that you prevent a 1 in 10-year storm from damaging? Things which occur a lot more frequently than 1 in 10 years. I supplied graphs to this board that show that the 4-foot surge level has occurred like 4 times in the last 5 years or something. So the purpose here is how do you get to that design level? And you get to that design level by the surge, the waves, and the sea level, not just one. And speaking to Member Schultz's point of why do we select that, we'll show you what it looks like if we recommended a 25-year or a Superstorm Sandy surge. and wave height, and then added sea level to that, you'd be surprised how high that bulkhead gets.
And it could have, but it could have also presumably been a 7.5 year or a 5 year
Yeah,
level.
right. You can do that, but you run huge risks when you do that because those events occur so frequently. Yes, statistically, you can do that math, but realistically, if you take a 5-year storm, that's happening like once a month. Seriously.
I mean, I think presumably one of the things we're going to talk about as we get to making a decision is what is the environmental impact of the raising of these bulkheads, right? Because there's a flip side to it as well.
Well, and also, what's the environmental impact of not doing it?
I understand that's your case. I just want to I think we just need to look holistically at what's happening here. Like, why do we care? Why don't we just do a big wall?
Well, I think we've talked about this a lot, and there's still a lot of unknowns. But the one thing we're missing is Marty's report, which you'll get for the next meeting. I think it's very important that we position ourselves to make a decision at the next meeting. To do more,
One more question.
yeah, but to do more site visits if we need to, do more research. But I think it's important to not delay this because it's going to be a difficult decision to make. We should do it sooner rather than later, because it's got to be made.
When you say the next meeting, you mean
The next hearing, when we're going to bring this to coincide with the DB Ventures hearing.
Yeah, I'm gonna reiterate my strong desire and recommendation as explained to me in detail by my clients several times over the last several days, that I would love to move that meeting up.
Can you then, again, just speak to which of any of these properties are having to address an emergency right now?
I wouldn't use emergency, I would say 65 is the worst, as
You
Chairman
can't just,
said.
you could go in and just repair that without putting in a whole new bulkhead?
Yeah, but, we're spending other people's money.
Yes, he doesn't want to do, I'm sure he doesn't want to do that, repairing it.
It's not an inexpensive
But
repair.
the problem is, you can throw sand there. You can fill that void up in sand, but it's leaking out the bottom.
There's a couple of different ways we can do that. First thing we would do is we would excavate out and line the whole thing with filter cloth to try to reduce the sand. The second thing we would do is we would use stone instead of sand, because that'll stick around a lot
What
longer.
about the old-fashioned way of throwing sandbags in there?
You can do that, but they're just gonna break,
Okay.
yeah.
A
But
question,
our problem, I'm sorry for interrupting, our problem is, how do we get the stuff there? Mobilizing to get stuff, you guys walk down that stairway, okay? Yeah, I'd like to see anybody bring, 10 yards of stone down that stairway. Are you kidding? That's so it's likely that you would have to access from the water, which means you have to mobilize a barge, you've got to have a crane, you've got to have this, these are very expensive undertakings.
I was involved with the bulkhead at 23 Clearview, the one that's 10 foot 3 inches. And they did everything by barge, except backfill. They brought a crane in for that. They were able to fit a crane in for that. My question to you is, do you have a handle on the average lifespan of a bulkhead, let's say, in this area?
I haven't done any specific research on it, but when you just look at the materials, right now what you see is all these timber bulkheads are being replaced with vinyl. At very best, timber bulkheads have about a 30-year lifetime.
What about vinyl?
Vinyl has a material life of 50 years, manufacturer's material life, and we've been putting them in for over 20, and they show zero signs of wear.
So that might come into play with regard to the height.
Yeah.
If a bulkhead's going to last 50 years,
Well, 30 years is great. It's the life of a typical mortgage, and that's what, Berkshire Hathaway says, we should always have a 30-year investment horizon, right? Didn't he say that?
Help me out on a timeline. Suppose, no promises here, suppose you close this hearing tonight, pass a resolution tonight that said you're gonna get 18 inches on this bulkhead, pick up your permit in the morning. When, and you've done bulkheads,
Yep.
when would you have that crane there? When's the earliest you could have that crane there to start work?
Yep.
Realistically, within 30 days.
Realistically, when?
Within 30 days, possibly faster, because we have, actually, right now, we have equipment in the area.
Can these applicants start their procedure, at least hiring someone to do the work?
Yeah, but
I mean,
they need to know what they're building before they can get a price.
Yeah.
they could get two prices.
I think the starting place is to replace what you got in kind. You get another bulkhead, just what it is. For me to go beyond that is not fair to the other board members, but I don't think there's any question in my conversation with them that that's gonna be, I mean, that's what Marty's recommending, so that's gonna be like the very bottom. Probably be more than that, but even that's probably going more than I should say. Because it's the board that's gonna make the decision, not me. My thinking is that it's too bad we have to wait till May 13th for a decision before you can start mobilizing equipment to get the job done. And I don't know if there's any way that those homeowners can start that process with, say, hey, give me a price for what we got, give me a price for 18, and give me a price for in the middle. I can't imagine it'd be a whole lot different in cost between one or the other, the same barge, the same crane, the same piece of vinyl, just how far down you can pound it. It just seems like if we are at a potentially crisis situation, there should be some action. I want to be able to sleep at night and not have a failed bulkhead on my conscience.
Well, we can definitely start that process. Like I said, we start these jobs within like 2 to 4 weeks of getting the approval, and, within 30 days is very reasonable for us. And I think, considering the condition of the one bulkhead, we would put them at the top of the list and get them done right away.
That's the one we're here, that's 65?
Yeah.
And that's the one that's not on tonight,
Right.
right?
Right.
I mean,
Yeah, but you can't do all the bulkheads at once, can you?
No, each, well, you can do them all in, not simultaneously. It's a stepwise process. We only do about 20 or 30 feet in a given day.
Okay, sure, and that's a lot.
Yeah. Because you've got to excavate behind, you've got to isolate the site so stuff doesn't go out into the bay. You've got to remove what's there and then put in new, and then secure it with dead men, and then backfill over it, and then go to the next spot.
Any other questions?
no, I think we have to open the two that we haven't opened yet, right?
3.
3?
I'm sorry, what was that?
No other questions, Harry?
Is there anyone in the public or on Zoom that would like to speak on this application?
There are 2 people on Zoom.
Did you say there was somebody?
Two people on
Zoom.
Okay. So bring them on one at a time, please.
Good evening. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Hi, I'm David Rothenberg. I'm 65 Clearview Drive. I appreciate everyone's attention to this matter and all of your concern. It is a dire situation, and I just urge everyone to go ahead and make a decision. I think there's been lot of evidence presented, a lot of arguments. I think there's enough there to go ahead and do a vote and make a decision, go ahead and finalize this process. We cannot wait 60 days to May 13th. It's just an arbitrary date. I don't see why you guys don't have the power just to pick another date earlier and make a decision. I will say, the evidence that I've seen is pretty compelling. There's been photo evidence of the overtopping. We all recognize that there's global warming and sea level risk to contend with. Our neighbors have 10 feet. There's 4 houses down, a bulkhead that is already 10 feet. There's one that was just built 5 months ago that is higher than it was, an extra 18 inches. So there's plenty of cases where that has occurred in our neighborhood and our neighbors down. Most importantly, I do think that we are ignoring the fact that the United States Army Corps of Engineers endorses this. The New York State, DEC, and DOS all endorse this. So, I know that we need to be diligent in our discussions. We need to understand the issue, and we need to be able to make decisions. But I also think we shouldn't ignore the fact that other entities, including the Corps of Engineers and the state entities, have already opined on this. They've researched this, and this is where they come out. So I do urge you, first and foremost, to just go ahead and make a decision. We'll abide by whatever you say, but we cannot wait. I am 65 Clearview. I am the one that will have a mess when this fails. And if I have a mess, my neighbors will have a mess. And if my neighbors have a mess, the town will have a mess, and the board will have a mess. It'll just be a mess all along. I appreciate your concern and your ideas to try to go ahead and try to do a contract now with 2 different prices. But all that would be not necessary if tonight you just made a decision, or if not tonight, reconvene in 2 days and make a decision. Just please, I urge you all to just make a decision on this once and for all. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And the second person on Zoom, Kevin?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm Robert Angaro, I'm at 59 Clearview Drive. I've spoken at the past 3 meetings, and I think everybody has said what needs to be said, but I'm the one that took the photographs that showed overtopping, and I just want to explain to the board that that was not a highly unusual weather condition. It was a windy day, and it was not at high tide, it was at mid tide. And when we have high tide and strong winds, those waves are overtopping. And I'm the one that took those pictures that Aaron presented this evening, and I've heard some discussion that indicates that the sand is leaching from the bottom. My particular bulkhead, I repaired and replaced 5 years ago, and I did use the material, the filtering material, and that isn't what's failing. What's failing is the waves that are overtopping it. And I understand that one of the objections seems to be that if it's different heights, that it's going to affect other bulkhead. But if you're taking the position that an increase of 18 inches is going to affect wave activity, then you're having to accept the fact that the waves are reaching that top level of bulkhead, which they are. And I understand that we all together want to protect the bay, but replacing bulkhead every 5 years and allowing those contaminants and the disturbances to the bay certainly isn't helping it. And it was a huge expense 5 years ago, and I'm seeing it fail now. So I would, again, not to continue to restate my position every 4 meetings, but ask this board to take into consideration that it is probably best for the environment as well as the landowners and as well as the town to construct a bulkhead that's going to last for the foreseeable or near future. And I'm Robert Angaro, I'm 2nd generation. I hope my children are 3rd generation. And I'm hoping that this board understands that we believe our requests are reasonable and that we're asking that you make this decision because we can't really hire contractors and have them come in and start ripping stuff down if we don't know what they're rebuilding. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Is there anyone else on Zoom that would like to speak in this application?
No one else.
Thank you. Is there a motion to adjourn this application to May 13th?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any way to somehow do it sooner?
I'm sorry, the question is what?
They want to do it sooner.
I can't commit to completing,
What?
We're waiting for Marty's report.
I know.
Yeah.
I can't commit to completing a technical response sooner than that date.
Is that a technical response just to setting a standard that would be all-encompassing, or a technical response just to these 5 applications, or however many?
It's to these 5 applications where the conditions are relatively uniform.
If we,
So it'll be a response to all of these applications in the same report.
procedurally, Kelly, if we were to adjourn this to May 13th, and then discover in 1 month, for example, that we could, if something changed, we got the report, and we can make a decision 2 weeks later, can we change that scheduled hearing?
May 13th hearing.
Yeah, or,
If we schedule for May 13th and something happens where we get done earlier, can we do something?
we move
on
it up?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
April 22nd.
You can, yeah, but you'd have to renotice it.
You have to renotice it.
you know,
because we don't
that's
have
gonna
enough
take,
time.
what, a
Another
month?
2 weeks? How long does it take to renotice?
So the only way to do it is to schedule it
For
before
April
Marty thinks he can
22nd
get the
and
report
adjourn it to
done.
May
Right,
13th.
you could
and
just go ahead
ask For an
and,
adjournment for a week
Right.
later.
open it and then adjourn it. Yep.
You can do it April 22nd and then adjourn it to May 13th. You
follow
can't
what
do
I'm
it the
saying?
other way
I'm
around.
I mean, the fact that they would vote to adjourn a meeting today, at another meeting, they could just vote, you're not doing a notice, the notice is already done.
But the notice is done for a later date, so no one's going to look at an earlier date for a hearing that's later.
If we
can
adjourn this,
it
is there
sooner
another
and then
notice
adjourn
printed
it
in the
again,
paper?
but we can't adjourn
No,
it
but
later
it's
and
open
then
tonight.
say, oh, we're done early.
So say if somebody
and move it.
looks at a notice in the paper and they're gonna look at it, then they're gonna watch the hearing or come to the hearing, and then they see it was adjourned, then you can follow along. If you think something's not gonna be on till May 13th, and you adjourn it to make it earlier, then no one's gonna have any notice
Right.
to
Right,
watch.
okay, so we
Either,
can,
either make it April 22nd and adjourn it again,
Right.
Right.
knowing that it's almost a sure thing that Marty's not gonna be able to provide a report that we're gonna rely on by, I mean, that's 2 to 3 weeks sooner than,
Well, at least it gives you the option.
as long as you're not gonna be disappointed if you show up and then we say.
oh, don't say
May
that, he's gonna
13th.
be disappointed, but,
You know, but don't take it as a given that we're gonna have anything accomplished on the 22nd.
Well, you know, and I will express that to my clients.
what I see, Aram, is that we have one more piece of the puzzle, and we don't know when that's coming, and it's very hard to predict that, especially when you got the last 2 weeks where he was alone in the office for most of the 2 weeks. That's never easy for anybody, as you surely know.
I surely do.
The applicant is
I'd be happy to
anxious.
visit with Marty and help him with that report, though.
I'm sure you would write it for him, wouldn't you?
So I think the idea of an earlier adjournment with the, with the possibility and/or likelihood that it would be re-adjourned, I think provides the board with the most flexibility.
Yes, yes, I'm thinking we should do that. Recognizing that we can get the word to you, Marty can, probably a couple days before to know if we're gonna ask you to adjourn it for another 2 weeks. But that would give the applicant a little more time. The most important one, of course, is the one that's already scheduled for May 13th. How can we change that?
Has to be
You have to
renoticed.
renotice
Just
it.
If we renotice it tomorrow, when's the earliest we can renotice it for?
It's not gonna be renoticed tomorrow.
It has to be, so the paper is published on a Thursday. In order to get it in for next Thursday, I think the deadline is this Friday or Monday?
Friday, yeah, Friday.
Friday.
Yeah.
So then it's renoticed on Thursday. Then you need 2 weeks, well, 10 days. Then I gotta look at a calendar.
I mean, I'm not sure what we're really accomplishing, since Marty has made it very clear that
Couple
his
of weeks.
report can't be ready in time. So we're going through a process that I think our staff
Well, I'm
is
wondering if,
advising us they can't be ready for.
It doesn't make a lot of sense to give all the other applicants their permit when the most important one has to be delayed. So I'm just going through an exercise to see if it's possible to do something sooner. I don't know if it is.
The only thing we're being fair about is giving him an opportunity to provide some more information on the 22nd instead of making him wait till the 13th, just in case he has some magic piece of information that shows up on one or more of the properties. But if we end up putting 4 more hearings on the 22nd, it's gonna make 5. And it's gonna be a busy night if he ends up actually
that-
wanting to speak.
That could be a long hearing, the one that's scheduled. So could the one before that on April 8th. So it takes roughly,
You have the time, if it goes out Friday, the new legal ad goes to the paper Friday, you could do it April 8th
okay,
or April 22nd.
okay, so if we can do that, then we're gonna give Marty 2 more weeks to get staff in there to do it, and we can schedule this for April 22nd.
Yes.
That'll move it ahead 2 weeks. And then, that'll be for DB Ventures. For these, we can adjourn till April 22nd. And then, don't know if it's possible, but if we get a hold of 19 Cold Spring Court and see if they would be amenable to moving it to May 13th,
We can
that would,
Open and adjourn it on the 22nd. and then-
yeah, then we could do that. And all this is just scheduling stuff.
Yes.
But I want to be fair to all the people involved.
But remember, if you ask them to move it, 19 Cold Spring Court to be agreeable to moving it to the 13th, and we already know that we're going to almost definitely see all
Oh,
of these on the
actually-
13th, it's going to be everything on the 13th.
That's
So
right. So-
That's making it worse for everybody.
I have a
So,
lot of coffee.
so we should prime them that that may be what we're going to ask them to do that until the night of the hearing. It's just, this is unusual circumstance to have so many properties so similar. They're all, it's not just they're in a rush to get going. There's a potential environmental issue here.
Yeah. No, I appreciate the way that the board worked through this and for their flexibility. I think that's a good program.
Okay. And if by chance we have to do everything on April 22nd, we'll bring a snack.
Let's bring a snack. It's a good idea. I have lifesavers. Anybody needs them.
Okay, we all, is that okay?
That's okay.
So just so we understand, you're making a decision regarding scheduling that's gonna require a renotice of the hearing for DB Ventures by this Friday,
No,
or no?
no,
Okay.
no. It's going to require a hearing for DB Ventures for probably 2 weeks from Friday.
Oh, okay, all right. That can be done.
It needs to be done in the paper, sufficient to be legal on April 22nd.
Okay. If that provides sufficient time, that can be done.
Okay.
you wanted to do it, yeah, April 8th, it would have to be this Friday, but then you have more times, because it's April 22nd.
not
Right,
saying
exactly,
April.
so then you have the two more weeks.
April
Exactly.
22nd.
So then,
Yes.
after the
Okay.
hearing portion is over, we have to actually make a motion to.
So you're gonna,
Okay,
you're gonna act on a
We're-
resolution.
We're gonna do a resolution to
now
renotice.
To renotice the hearing for DB benches for April 22nd.
when it's
Yes.
appropriate on the agenda to do
Yes.
it. We do just not, this is the hearing section now. But there's been a motion and a second to take this to the 13th. They have to rescind their motion and remake it for the 22nd.
Yeah, whoever made that motion.
That would be me.
Okay, you have to
Somebody
rescind.
made it and it was seconded. I heard a second.
Robert's rules.
So
Uh,
whoever,
the
please
bottom
withdraw your
line is,
motion.
we want to do is change that motion from May 13th to April 22nd.
Right, so someone
As you
has-
made the motion, are you amenable to that?
Please rescind it.
I will move to rescind the original motion and change it to adjourn to April 22nd. For the one that's open, we got to open the other one still.
Yeah, we're doing one at a
We're
time.
going that at a Jeremy, that's an opening of a new.
Well,
Yeah, I know, but we haven't done it yet. Yes, I move to adjourn it to April 22nd in case we can make it.
okay. It's been moved to rescind that previous motion and to offer a new date of April 22nd. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Next
Okay.
is,
Does any of this have to stay out, or can I ask for everyone to turn their paperwork in so
No,
I can
just-
keep the
no,
files neat?
yeah, let's hang on to it all for just a second. Let's go through these. The next is A02504451 CVD LLC.
This is a new public hearing. We do have affidavits of posting mailing, and the board does have jurisdiction to open the hearing. And if you'd like to make a motion to incorporate all of the testimony from the prior hearing into this hearing, you could do that now.
I was just gonna
A question here. So on A025041, did you just vote to adjourn that to April 22nd?
Yes.
Okay, and who made that motion?
Leslie Schultz.
And I seconded
a
it.
troublemaker.
And who seconded that motion?
I did.
Oh, thank you. They have to be stamped.
Okay, thank you.
Tom won't start the meeting
They have
unless
to
he
be
has.
stamped, though.
All right, Marty, stamp it.
And you would like to incorporate the last discussion into this one?
Yes, please.
Why am I being handed this?
You need to stamp it.
You stamp it,
Oh, okay.
Sorry, Marty.
and then you can hand it to me.
We're asking you to juggle
Was
five
someone,
pieces here.
I appreciate the cross-training. Very nice. The attorney turns to stenographer, Marty becomes a clerk. This is all very interesting.
now we're opening this public hearing. Is there a motion to incorporate the testimony of the previous hearing into this hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Do you want to say anything else?
I do not.
Whoa, that's a record.
Okay.
Is there anyone on Zoom or in the public who would like to speak in this application before we adjourn it to April 22nd?
No one on Zoom.
With the expectation that we'll hear it that date, but it might be adjourned to the following 2 weeks later if we need to, because we don't have a report in time. So,
So motion to adjourn this hearing to April 22nd.
So moved.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? A025045 Wilson H. Madden Jr., 2009 revocable
Wait,
trust.
I'm sorry. I have to get these votes down.
Okay.
So on A025044, who made the motion and second, and who seconded it?
I made the motion.
So,
And I seconded.
okay. And that was to adjourn that to
April
April
22nd.
Right. Thank you.
And now, for this next application, do we have affidavits?
Yes, we do. This is a new one, and we do have affidavits of posting mailing. The board does have jurisdiction to open the hearing. And if you want to make a motion, you can incorporate the testimony from the first hearing, A025041, into this hearing as well.
Motion to actually approve incorporating testimony for both, just in case, 25041 and 25044 into this application's testimony.
Second?
Second.
Make a decision.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Is there anyone in the public or on Zoom that would like to speak in this application?
No one on Zoom.
Move to adjourn this to April 22nd.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
That was Tom and Leslie.
A025049, Mitchell, Cohen, Robert Ongaro, Roberto Family Trust.
This is not a new
This is
hearing.
not
This
a new
is, we don't need affidavit, we already have the affidavits.
Yes.
Is there a motion to incorporate the previous
Motion to
testimony?
incorporate the testimony of 25041, 25044, and 25045 into this application.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Is there anyone on Zoom or in the public who would like to speak in this application?
Motion to adjourn to April 22nd.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, thank you. And DB Ventures?
DB Ventures, we will, with someone, let's see, now I have to,
Renotice that.
Right.
Yes.
So we have to make a
Does the board have
motion.
to take any-
Renotice for April 20th.
So the board doesn't have to take any action?
No,
we do.
We have to
We're gonna
make, we have
renotice
to
it
make
right-
a motion to
We'll do it right now,
renotice.
so you can hear us, make sure we do it right.
Okay, just as long as we can be assured that that Marty's able to have it renoticed in time for that,
Yeah,
for
there's
that
plenty
day.
of
Yes,
time.
if it's the 22nd.
Fine. I'd like to make a motion to renotice DB Ventures, the number of which is,
65.
well,
We don't have the
65.
application number here, but 65 Clearview Drive.
I think we do in the minutes, actually.
Yeah,
yes.
we should
And also
really-
in this calendar.
Yes.
Yeah, we have it in the calendar.
So the application number for that is A025046.
For A025046, to have that renoticed for the April 22nd meeting instead of the May 13th meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Thank you very much.
Now, may I have all the papers back for, unless you're keeping them for your own edification?
No, that's part of the
This one.
record.
Oh, all right.
This needs to go in. This goes back to him too?
How are you at folding road maps? Just fold that up, fold that nice and neat for me.
It wasn't stamped, so I didn't know.
Really?
Put that in here.
Color.
Put that in here. Fold a napkin into a swan faster than that. I'm sorry, did I think
I
that out
told you,
loud?
I'm in my OCD mode now. That's small enough, right?
Yes, you pass.
On to advisory reports for the ZBA. Caleb Kirchhoff.
Marty Shea, Chief Environmental Analyst for the town, is pending variance application for the zoning board for property at Noack Road in the Hamlet of Noack.
There are three recommended brief advisory comments. First is, as indicated by the survey as prepared by Robert A. Smith, dated November 13, 2025, which was filed with the pending variance application. The tract is highly constrained by town and state regulated freshwater wetlands, thereby preventing the ability to create a wider common or secondary driveway access. Second, additionally, the abutting Pinecrest, that should be Pinecrest Lane, is privately owned, thereby negating the ability to open up the road end. And thirdly, there are no environmental issues with the requested front yard setback relief.
Comments to the ZBA.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Sarah B. LLC.
This pending variance application before the zoning board relates to property at 65 Inlet Road West in the hamlet of Shinnecock Hills. There are two recommended advisory comments. The first is that as the existing residence located greater than 200 feet landward of their nearest wetlands, there are no environmental concerns regarding the variances being sought. And second, an administrative wetland permit number WAP 25115 has already been issued to allow for the planned swimming pool.
Motion to send those comments to the ZBA.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Mark I. Bomback.
This is Mark Bomback.
Yes.
This application relates to property at 336 New Light Lane in the hamlet of Watermill. There are several recommended advisory comments. The first indicates that an administrative wetland permit needs to be obtained, and that's in order to authorize construction of the planned tennis court. Said permit will be conditioned upon the establishment of a covenanted, unfenced, naturally vegetated wetland non-disturbance, non-fertilization buffer covering all portions of the property within 100 feet landward of wetlands, as well as upon removal of any remnant shed or fences within the bounds of such buffer. Second, any intended grade changes in the full extent of planned clearing and site disturbance, as well as desired fence lines or fence removals, inclusive of type and maximum heights, need to be shown on the applicant's survey. Any planned hard surface pedestrian pathways running from the abutting residence to the future court likewise need to be depicted. Thirdly, survey specifications are needed with regard to the proposed retaining wall, inclusive of bottom and top elevations and intended construction materials. And lastly, administrative wetland permit number WAP 23029 had been issued on May 30th, 2023 to a former landowner in order to authorize residential development. However, the project plans did not call for construction of a tennis court.
Motion to send those comments to the ZBA.
Second?
All in favor? Opposed? Sean and Pamela Casey.
This application relates to property at 59 Sunset Avenue in the hamlet of East Quogue. There are two recommended advisory comments. The first indicates that the survey / proposed site plan, as prepared by Jeffrey W. Hayter, with the latest revision date of June 20, 2025, which was filed with the pending variance application, is consistent with the survey as prepared by same surveyor with the latest revision date of January 10, 2025, which was approved pursuant to Conservation Board Wetland Permit number CB 250039, which was issued to Sean Casey and Pamela Casey on October 6, 2025. Second, as indicated by the applicant, the authorized project plans are conditioned upon the establishment of a wetland preservation area and restored naturally vegetated buffer pursuant to the covenant recorded with the Suffolk County Clerk on September 24, 2025, library number D000133310, page 385.
Motion to send those comments to the ZBA.
Second.
Favor? Opposed? David Dunaway.
This is a pending variance application before the ZBA for property at 149 Big Fresh Pond. That should be Big Fresh Pond Road, North Sea. There are two recommended comments. First indicates that notwithstanding the showing of a former elevated deck, pond side of the artist studio on a survey referenced by a certificate of wetland compliance that was issued for sanitary upgrades for the survey and house and authorized by administrative wetland permit number WAP 160084. There is no record of the requisite town wetland permit having been obtained for building of the studio deck. Moreover, as depicted on this survey prepared by William R. Simmons III with the latest revision dated July 3, 2018, which was filed with the pending variance application, there is also a gravel patio pond side of the existing dwelling, which likewise does not benefit from a wetland permit. Unauthorized tree cutting and site disturbance appears to have also occurred. Second, in light of the above, any decision on the pending variance application should be held in abeyance until these outstanding matters are rectified by filing for an administrative wetland permit.
Motion to send those comments to the ZBA.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? The planning board, Hampton Court and Marina.
This is a pending site plan application for the Hampton Court and Marina site at 580 Dune Road in the hamlet of West Hampton. There are a number of recommended advisory comments. The first indicates that the wetland boundary, as shown on the plan, will need to be reflagged or verified by the Town Environment Division or Town Planning Division after further marking by the applicant, as the entirety of the wetland boundary has not been plotted on the submitted surveys and site plans. Second, according to Town GIS aerial imagery dating back to 2013, natural seaside vegetation was present landward of the existing bulkhead. This vegetation was removed the following year and replaced with the bare sand area. The Conservation Board recommends that this disturbed area be restored to the natural vegetative conditions that existed before the area was cleared. Thirdly, upon Environment Division inspection on March 10, 2026, field conditions of the site revealed that the existing bulkhead along Mauritius Bay contains multiple goose deterrent string lines. These structures, which have never permitted, pose injury and mortality risks, not only to Canada geese, but to all bay-dependent birds, such as plover species, tern species, heron/egret species, gulls, and birds of prey, such as osprey, bald eagle, and red-tailed hawk. These string lines, which are set up in rows of 3, need to be removed immediately. If such structure was installed to deter goose from depositing waste on the existing lawn areas, enhanced vegetative wetland buffers or native plant gardens should be utilized instead of turf grass, as the latter tends to attract such species. Fourth, the site, which contains gravel driveways, gravel walks, and windblown gravel clusters on the existing tennis courts, has attracted 3 adult killdeer, 2 of which were confirmed on March 10, 2026, to have established nesting territory by creating a scrape in the existing gravel paver walk area west of the tennis courthouse. The nesting pair was observed to be vocalizing and defending their scrape and nest as a future location for egg laying. This nest site needs to be preserved.
What's a kill
The
deer?
next comment indicates that additionally, the wind-blown gravel clusters on the existing tennis court need to remain undisturbed until confirmation is provided by the Environment Division that eggs have been successfully laid in an alternate location, or until any young have successfully fledged from any nest established in the court. Killdeer are species which are protected by state and federal law under the Migratory Bird Treaty Act, are required to be fully protected and should be monitored by Environment Division staff to ensure egg incubation and chick yard care are successful for the 2026 breeding season.
Motion to send those comments.
Is this early for the nest to have eggs in it already?
No, not actually for killdeer. Killdeer are renesters. They will nest this early, and then they may renest later in the spring or in the summer again if the nest fails.
It might get cold next week.
A lot of birds get started early with nesting, and notwithstanding the cold.
Thank you.
A lot of activity going on already, bird activity, in terms of nest establishment, now that the snows are gone.
All right, there's a
Motion to
motion.
send those comments to the planning board.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The administrative wetland permits in your packets, resolution of conditional approval. A 019131, the Patricia Lynn Prue Revocable Trust, the applicant requests postponement to March 25th, 2026.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? A 025011, 41 Tarpon Road, applicant requests postponement to March 25th.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? A 025021, Mark Charbonneau and Donna Charbonneau, applicant requests postponement to March 25th.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? A 025054, Charlie Denby and Elizabeth Belton, applicant requests postponement to March 25th.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? A 025056, Joshua Abramson and Gabriel Borden Finley. Any discussion?
Move to issue.
Second.
Resolved that a conditional wetland permit will be granted to Joshua Abramson and Gabriel Borden Finley for the proposed project on the terms and conditions set forth herein. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? A 025062, Donovan Moore and Ann Moore, applicant request postponement to March 25th.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? A 026005, Town of Southampton, any discussion?
Move to issue.
Resolved that a conditional wetland permit will be granted to Town of Southampton for the proposed project upon the terms and conditions set forth therein. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? A 024060, Carter Simpson and Sloan Simpson, applicant request postponement to March 25th.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? A 025048, Diane Moranis, applicant request postponement to March 25th.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? A 025057, Jarvis Family Trust, applicant request postponement to March 25th.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? A 026002, Diane Revich.
This application relates to residentially developed property at Land's End Lane in Tuckahoe that has frontage on Old Spring Channel. There is a preliminary advisory report on file dated March 5, 2026. So the applicant is seeking wetlands permit to demolish and remove an existing one-story ranch, as well as attached deck and storage shed and various walks. Sanitary system would be abandoned. A new FEMA-compliant dwelling with attached garage would be built with new attached deck and steps, covered porch, and secondary deck with steps and landing. There's also a covered patio and outdoor shower that's planned, together with a covered entry porch. Stormwater leaching galleys would be installed, as well as an IA or WTS, and the gravel driveway would be pervious. In the interest of mitigating potential adverse wetland impacts, as part of my advisory report, I forwarded to the applicant's agent a sketch of a recommended naturally covenanted, unfenced, naturally vegetated wetland non-disturbance, non-fertilization buffer. The applicant has confirmed today that they are amenable to those recommended mitigative measures, as well as a request that the subsurface drainage be repositioned landward of such buffer. This is an application for which we have sufficient information to make a determination. As such, the hearing requirement can be waived.
Motion to waive the public hearing.
Second?
Resolved that the Town Conservation Board hereby waives the public hearing requirement pursuant to Chapter 325, Section 325-80 of the Town Code. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution to issue modified wetland permit, CB 22014, Gerald Kaplan and Geraldine Kaplan.
As indicated by the resolution before you, the board had issued a permit to allow for various accessory improvements at the property, namely construction of an in-ground swimming pool and various patios. Permit was conditioned upon establishment of a covenanted wetland preservation area and a restored naturally vegetated wetland non-disturbance, non-fertilization buffer. There was an existing shed on the property. Because the shed was legal, the buffer was configured around that shed. The shed has since been destroyed by fire. This is a resolution to modify the existing permit to allow for reconstruction of that shed in kind and in place.
Motion to waive the public hearing.
Second.
This is a motion
Issue a modified
to
wetland.
adopt a resolution to modify the existing wetland permit.
Motion to issue the modification.
Second.
Resolved that a wetlands permit modification be issued to Gerald Kaplan and Geraldine Kaplan for the proposed project upon the terms and conditions set forth therein. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? CB 23029, 11 Westwood LLC.
This application, this resolution relates that the board had issued a wetland permit that allowed for demolition and reconstruction of the existing dwelling, upgrade to the sanitary system and various accessory improvements, conditioned upon preservation of all on-site wetlands and establishment of a covenanted restored naturally vegetated buffer. That permit was transferred to a new landowner and renewed in order to keep the permit valid. The new owner has decided to modify the plans in the interest of retaining the existing residence and simply constructing a minor addition to that dwelling, as well as to demolish and reconstruct the existing deck in place while retaining the supporting concrete piers. The modifications to the project plans have actually enhanced the construction setbacks. The applicant is amenable to the covenanted wetland preservation area and buffer that was established by the prior conservation board permit. As such, this resolution, in order to authorize the needed modifications to the existing Conservation Board wetland permit in order to allow the current landowner to proceed with the project changes.
Motion issued a modification.
Second.
Resolved that a wetlands permit modification be issued to 11 Westwood LLC for the proposed project upon the terms and conditions set forth therein. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
What was that?